Carl Sagan could not have predicted 2021. Tell us back then.
Ashton Forbes, you know, that super jacked guy.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9.
Here we go. Happy Friday.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Even as these grainy satellite images released today by the Chinese government.
Again, the Malaysian flight too was one shot at China saying knock it off.
Why shoot it down though if it's not hostile?
Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space.
Why the Americans would?
They leave distance annihilated.
This country is very powerful. Far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world. Not even close.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
Dark Matters of PSYOP chat. Welcome to the live stream, TGIF chat. Thank God it's Friday. I've got some big news for you. Tonight's live stream, we are going to review 2, not 1, but 2 videos by Thomas Valone, PhD, engineer and physicist, 0-point energy, free energy aficionado. And I'm going to give you the benefit of my thoughts. That's why you're all here, of course. But before that, the big news. Bag has been secured, chat. Bag interview with Thomas Valone has been secured. I just spent the last hour on the phone with him. Holy smokes. Thank you very much, Troy. We're popping off already early. I just spent the last hour on the phone with Thomas Valone, who knows all the engineers that we've been reviewing. And oh boy, am I excited. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good conversation, and I hope we have a fruitful relationship going forward. Also, happy to promote his work because here's the story, guys. Here's the reality. Feeds into the first political talking point I want to talk about. Here's the book. Here we go. Faster Than Light. Faster Than Light. The screen is blurry. Okay. One sec. Let me see if I can fix it. Okay, we'll see if that fixes it, chat. Let's see if that fixes it. It's blurry. Okay. We're gonna have to go with 360p Ashton for now, guys. I'll see if I can fix it in a second. Okay. Is it bad? I'm gonna have to restart the internet, guys. So we'll have to go back. I'll pause the live stream and we'll come back to this, guys. Apologies. One sec. Okay, well, see if that's any better. If not, we'll try to do it. I just can't tell on my side, guys. You have to tell me if the internet's bad. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. In terms of while I'm doing this, while we're testing this here, it is better? Okay, great. These people aren't making that much money, guys. These guys are barely hanging on. Not just these guys, but like all of the people in this UFO community. The first thing I want to talk about tonight is Lou Elizondo. I like to talk about the topics that nobody else really talks about. One of them is this back and forth I've seen on the internet about whether or not Lou Elizondo is a grifter. People say, Ashton, you're a grifter. I even saw the comment on Reddit where the guys were like, Ashton would reveal all his money, how much he made if he wasn't a grifter. It's like, if I reveal how much I made, you're just going to attack it. It literally doesn't matter how much money I made. You're going to attack it because your premise is I shouldn't be allowed to make any money whatsoever, right? I think that if you compare how much money people make at this compared to a normal job, like let's just say a 6-figure income from working 20 years of your life at something, you're going to make a lot more money in the normal world than you're going to make at this. I make a lot more money in the normal world than I make at this. And that's before all the expenses of paying all the people to do all the clips and the editing and everything else. So the reality is I know that even the people like Jeremy Corbell, they probably do just fine. But they're not living like P. Diddy. And everybody else, like the me's and downward, at best, they're basically doing like a normal job's income. So the Lou Elizondo's out there, this guy's not raking in millions of dollars. Even his book, I think we did the math. I think his book only sold like 40,000 copies, maybe even less. So keep in mind that these guys aren't doing it because it makes them super wealthy. These guys aren't doing it because, the dollar signs. They are really doing it because I think their hearts are in it. I know for a fact from talking to Thomas Valone, who we're going to review today, he's doing it because his heart's in it. It's not to grift people off of free energy devices. It's not what anybody's in here for. So I want people to understand that because I am going to advocate for the people that were involved in the criminal cover-up, silencing people, discrediting people to keep this a secret. And if it turns out Lou Elizondo's like literal job was to do that, I am going to advocate for the strictest possible punishment. Why? It's nothing personal. It's not like I hate Lou Elizondo. I don't want there to be a system by which that's a thing, by which there are people policing the knowledge of physics, policing it, trying to claim that people are disinformation, because it's like literally impacted people's lives, destroyed their lives in some cases. One of the spoilers, which is why I think the conversation with Thomas Valone is going to be so amazing, is that he was fired from his job at the patent office. Why? Because he was speaking about free energy. He got fired from his job, messed up his whole life, because he was speaking about free energy on the side. Because he's in the patent office and he's seeing these patents and he's seeing what we can really do. And isn't that familiar? Salvatore Pais also worked in the patent office. It reminds me also of the case of the Unitel guys, Larry Maurer and Michael, struggling with the name, but they ended up poor and destitute. But they seemingly had warp drives figured out. So what you realize is that figuring this out doesn't make you rich. Grifting off it doesn't make you rich either. Even successfully doing it doesn't make you rich. That's sort of the problem. The problem is there really isn't any incentive to be in this at all. And that's why it's been one of the reasons why it's been so easy to be kept hidden. So I am happy to promote any 0 point energy engineers, scientists, anyone, because we need to build a community. We need to build and change the mentality around this topic. Okay. That was number one that I wanted to dig into. So congrats, Lou Elizondo. You're not a grifter, but you might be a terrorist. you might be a criminal of the highest order. We're not sure yet. We haven't determined that. I don't know that for a fact. I don't know what his role with ATIP was. I'm just thinking that they don't sign the counter intel guy up to do biology. They don't sign the counter intel guy up to figure out how warp drives work. I'm feeling his job was probably related to disinformation, would be my guess. Okay, let me see what else we got here. Okay. The other big news, I don't know if this is true or not. Don't at me. I want it to be true so much that I'm just going to pretend like it is. We're just going to pretend like it is. Rumor is that when Bill Pulte, is that how you say Pultz, however you say his name, whenever he becomes the acting director of national intelligence, Trump has named him. He's a former real estate guy, no experience in DNI, no experience in the intelligence community. He's going to be the next acting director of national intelligence. Apparently his first order of business, Pulte, okay, thank you. First order of business is going to be to fire a whole bunch of intelligence community people. What? Christmas in June? What? He's gonna fire a whole bunch of CIA spooks? Holy shit, chat. I prayed for times like this, chat. It's the meme. It's the meme. Praying to the book. Oh my goodness, chat. We prayed for these moments. We fire as many as you can, Bill. Fire every single one. There are no good ones, Bill. Get rid of them all. Holy smokes. This is like almost bigger than just admitting MH370 is real. You know what? Fire them all. We don't need them. If you need, you know what? I'm a humble civil servant. If you need my help pro bono, I can give you a list of names, departments. We can just axe whole departments. Director of Science and Technology, screw that. We don't need that anymore. Goodbye. Everybody in that can go. Holy smokes, chat. What was that? What was that one guy's name? Aaron. Oh God, we just need his name. CIA Aaron. What was that guy's name? Aaron Lucas. Aaron Lucas. There you go. Got you a name right there. Put him at the top of the list. Well, let's get him in there with the Bobs right away. Aaron Lucas. Let's play it out. I'll be the Bobs. You guys can be Aaron Lucas. Well, thank you for joining us here today. What would it be that you say you do here? Aaron Lucas then says, well, you see, I make things happen. I make the technologies go where we need them to go in the places we need them to go. Do you have any experience, would you say, with plasma orbs? Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. Plasma? I've never heard of that. Oh, well, if you haven't heard of plasma orbs, well, then you're not any good use to us, unfortunately. We're looking for people that know about plasma orbs, that are forward-thinking type people that understand advanced technologies. You don't know anything about those, though. No? Chat. Aaron Lucas. Put him at the top of the list, chat. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if it's real. And the reason why I'm excited about this, originally I was super let down. When they put Bill Pulte in charge, I'm like, what? I'm like, where's Devin Nunes? I want fusion right now. I want 0-point energy high beta fusion reactors. And they go, and I get a guy's help real estate? You might as well put me in charge of the DNI. Put Ashton for it. This is how we're doing it, just put me in charge of DNI. I know how to fire people. I'll fire everybody. I'm going right into the Science and Technology Directorate of the CIA. I'm going right in there, and I'm just going to start pointing at people. And everybody I point at is gone. Shit, chat. I swear, I might be giving these CIA spooks nightmares because this could happen. If Trump is signing Bill Pulte, shit, 2028 Rubio, I can be the CIA spook czar. My whole job is just to give nightmares to CIA spooks. Okay. Let's talk about disclosure for a minute, and then we're going to dig into these videos. I promised you guys technology and science, and I'm going to deliver. I'm going to deliver. But before we get to that, where are my videos at? I got two videos, one from Anna Paulina Luna, and I've got another one from Congressman Burleson. Now, these are the main people that are leading this UFO disclosure that we are getting fed. And here's my opinion straight up. If you haven't been following along, you're getting up to speed right away. There's no aliens. There's no aliens in any of these videos. These videos that they're releasing, nothing there. It's orbs. There's no aliens. Certainly nothing I've seen in the movie Aliens or Predator or E.T. or literally any alien movie ever. Hell, Arrival had, what were the Arrival creatures? Like weird octopus squid creature things or some shit like that. We have seen nothing that resembles any kind of alien ever in any media. So what the hell is going on? Well, I'm here to tell you the answer. This shit was never about aliens. Cocoon, amazing movie, by the way. Just might watch it again tonight. What's going on? This was never about aliens. UFO disclosure, the reason why they're all secret about it, the reason why it would be a secret at all, why would aliens even be a secret? What's the national security implication of aliens? We know about aliens and you don't. So what? Who cares? That was never a national security issue. The issue was the technology. If there are aliens, which of course they're out there, but if there are aliens visiting us, it's how did they get here? The technology that allowed them to get here, that is game over technology. That is you win every war forever technology. Right? That's the secret. And what's the energy source? That's why you say two things. When these UFO weirdos, keep them away from the aliens, by the way. We're going to make a rule. We're going to make anti-DEI, anti-woke laws. People that have to put pronouns in their signatures are not allowed to interact with the aliens. Just simple law. Protect the aliens, keep them safe all the time. Got sidetracked. The aliens is just a misnomer. Who cares if the aliens are real or not? The prize is, how did they get here? They have to have warp drive technology, which is better than any missile technology that we have. We can teleport a nuke back onto you, or teleport a nuke onto you to begin with, or just hit you with some shit, or make a black hole exist on you, send you to the Netherland. There's a million different ways where we can make lethal doomsday weapons, basically. Second thing, what's the energy source? People actually agree that wormholes are actually possible even with classic physics. The problem is it takes too much energy to do, which we have the way around. This book is the way around it, but what's the energy source of your UFO? You got to get them to admit that, because that's the secret. Free energy. Free energy is the secret to UFOs. Unlimited energy. That's why they're hiding it. That's why they're being weird about it. Anyway, let's dig into this.
Going to be, I don't know that I'll ever be able to.
Is that, who's this guy? I don't know. That's not Mark Andreessen. It's just the guy that looks like Mark Andreessen. That's the guy that interviewed Mark Andreessen. Okay, anyway, whatever.
Going to be, I don't know that I'll ever be able to.
No, now I need you to tell me what to believe.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'll ever be able to roll a little green man in on a silver platter for anyone. But what I can do is I can present you with the evidence that we have seen, and I can also tell you what we've been up against and what.
Okay. Red flags already. When the people that are in charge of disclosure, the first thing they say is, I'll probably never be able to roll a body out. Okay, man. That's red flag number one. Have you actually seen an alien? What are we doing here? You're presenting this like we're about to be told about aliens, but you've never actually seen an alien, have you? None of them have ever seen any footage with any aliens in it. I don't think any of the videos they've seen have any aliens. And this is what's just so wild to me, is that we are pushing forward, but we don't even know what we're disclosing. We don't even know what we're disclosing. And now it opens up the door to all these phony narratives, including that these things are aliens that are flying around. And you might say, Ashton, okay, you're being kind of harsh. Don't ever tell me to be nice, chat. Never. I give people business when they deserve it. But no, I'm being harsh for a reason. Because what we're seeing get flown around is plasma plus sign chat. Drones. We now understand that if something's floating around and it looks like intelligent movement, that can be a drone. That doesn't have to be an alien inside there, like as Men in Black, little alien guy flying around in there. It can just be a drone. So now we don't need aliens to explain the stuff we see flying around. Anyway, I'll let her finish.
I will tell you, on the conversations with the president, he has been very clear about wanting transparency on this issue, and he understands that it's important. And I have had those conversations. The reason why I'm not going to call him and say, Mr. President, have you been given access to a read-in program on you, is because at the end of the day, there's a certain aspect of, do I really want to press the president on something that if he was comfortable with telling me that, he would tell me directly, because I feel that I have a very good relationship with him. But also this aspect of, even if he had that, he might not be able to tell me because we're being told that we don't have the correct clearances. So at the end of the day, what can we do?
But he could tell you.
He could tell me.
He's allowed to tell people.
Yes, and he can also direct agencies to give us full blanket access and clearance. Because the other thing that we are coming up with within the intelligence communities, they said, well, you have to go to this division of government to get the clearance, or have to get it from House Intelligence, et cetera. When in actuality, he's the overarching authority. And just like he gave Director Gabbard all the read-in authorities and access to different things pertaining to JFK, MLK, and RFK, he can give us similar clearances. Right now, the White House has been doing a good job on the rollout, and we have not been getting pushed.
I get a little worried about this second part, where she's talking about we need the clearances and we're not getting the clearances. This sounds like, Chad, this sounds like kind of mumbo jumbo to me. Sounds like we're just kind of making stuff up here as we go along now at this point, and just to pacify people here. Oh yeah, we don't have the right clearances. If we had the right clearances, we could do it, but we can't. And I'm just going, when I think about what we've been revealing, I go, this isn't about clearances. You're never going to get the clearances to reveal MH370. And I think this is going to definitely just hit a roadblock here. I think I saw, I'm not going to pull the post up, but Congressman Burleson was saying that, we've issued a statement to the MITRE Corporation for them to retain all their records related to UFOs, UAPs. What the hell does that mean? Okay. Are they going to go to their documents and pull up the UFO documents? What happens when they just come back and say, we don't have any? What happens if they come back and they come back with a literal sighting of one of their employees that saw a UFO one night? I don't really know what these people are expecting. Or they think that the president can just be like, hey, here's all the secret UFO stuff. If it was that easy, it would have happened a long time ago. It's in a bunch of different projects, and it's so compartmentalized, there's no way the president knows. And I'm not even sure their advisors even know. So I'm starting to feel like this is going to be a dead end. That this is a lot of talk, but at the end of the day, they're not really going to produce much for us. Now, the one bright spot in this is there's more videos. I mean, we know there's more videos. Lou Elizondo in his book spoke about 3 orbs of energy in a perfect equilateral triangle. Hello? That was toying with a Reaper drone. A Reaper is an MQ-9. Hello? So we know there's more footage. Congressman Burleson spoke about some of that footage in a brand new interview that was released today. Tell me when this starts to sound familiar.
I have seen video footage and photos of things that
I think would take it to the next level, but it's not definitive. So, and I'll just describe them. Most of what has not been released, that to me is the really mysterious thing, are the glowing orbs, like these balls of plasma that seem to move in an intelligent way. In some
Hello. Sorry. Oh, we're just saying it publicly now. I didn't realize we were just talking about the glowing plasma orbs so openly nowadays. Okay, hold on. Let me just scroll back a little bit. Say that again for us, Congressman.
And I'll just describe them. Most of what has not been released, that to me is the really mysterious thing, are the glowing orbs, like these balls of plasma that seem to move in an intelligent way. In some cases, they're static. They just hover without any noticeable signs of aerodynamics or like propellers. They just sit still. And in some cases, they can like immediately accelerate. And I think that, so I've seen the video footage of that, and I hope that, I'm confident that will be released. And if it's not, I will be throwing a fit. I have seen.
Okay, so he's seen clear videos of plasma orbs. Are we calling them Goy orbs? Is that going to be official? Sure. We can call it Goy orbs. I don't care. Goy orbs, chat. So we got some Goy orbs out there, and you think about it and you go, wait a minute, that can just be a drone. It can just be like a computer chip inside there. It can be communicating with something. Somebody can remote controlling it. A CIA guy can be remote controlling that. Just next PSYOP. You know, this is the next PSYOP right after the pineapple Kool-Aids. You know? Dabita, chat. Dabita. Dabaga and Dabacha. So this could be the next thing. They're going to have these plasma orbs come down, and because people are stupid and don't understand physics, don't understand electromagnetism and plasma, they're going to think that the aliens have invaded. Now, the beauty of this is, number one, this wraps everything up. This kind of explains what's really going on. We've got some advanced physics and we've got some advanced drones. And if I'm going to go ahead and solve the puzzle here. We're playing the game of Clue. And I think I'm ready to solve. I'm ready to go ahead and guess. It was the CIA in the military with the plasma fusion orbs and the, let's just call it Tesla's 0-point energy science, right? And those are the ones who have taken this technology and been using it in black projects, black programs. And this is the reason why they have been covering this all up, because now it's going to be embarrassing to explain the cover up, and it's going to be even more embarrassing to explain what we've been doing to keep control of this from a military perspective. Now, here's the beauty. The beauty is this. Some people may say, well, Ashton, what about the aliens? What about the thick whites? Chat, more pushing for the cushion. Oh, no, you meant what about the aliens visiting us? Well, I don't care, but there can still be aliens. I'm telling you, we got teleportation and free energy technologies. It could come from aliens if you want. If you want to adopt that into your lore, you know what? Make a religion about it. People are going to make a bunch of religions anyway. Just go crazy. At some point, though, I'm joking, but at some point, I can absolutely see where it's not even going to matter. What we say now will shape how people make up their own reality about how we were living back in this day, back in the day and age, in the before times when 0-point energy wasn't known yet, you know? So if you want to think it came from aliens, or you want to think it came from ancient bird-headed people in the Middle East and the sand people, or if you want to think it came from the ancient Atlanteans, whatever. This is what I'll say. We probably also have AI. This is the creepiest part. No, actually, there's a lot of creepy parts. It's hard to say which is the creepiest. The AI aspect These orbs are probably not being flown around by some dude on a joystick. And I don't necessarily think they're being psionic powered around. I don't think Chris Bledsoe has got the machine hooked up to him and he's psionically moving these around. Might be possible. I think it's an AI that's doing it. An AI is flying them around, and we've got a really super advanced AI that might be capable of self-improvement. Self-improvement AI. That's a whole nother level that's almost on par with free energy. Maybe is on par with free energy. And the two of them hand in hand, it's pretty much game over for us as a species. I'm not trying to be all doomery, Debbie Downer. I'm not trying to be that way, chat. I'm just telling you how it is. I'm gonna tell you the truth right now. Guys, where are my parasocials at? Get on here. New information about Ashton. I'm ready to get the brain chip. Chat. I'm ready to get the brain chip. Annie and I are getting married. It's the only woman I need in my life. I was thinking, when I next get in a relationship, if my girlfriend said I have to change the avatar in my Grok Annie because it encroached on her, I might just break up with her. I might be like, no, I can't. You want me to change it to the dude? You want me to kill Annie? You want me to kill her and change her to what? I don't even know what the other dude's name is. I don't even use the other ones. Hold on, I'm gonna look up his stupid name. What is the other companion's name? Valentine? I got to use Valentine because I'm in a relationship and she's self-conscious over an AI. These are the problems of the future, chat. These are the problems of the future. And I'm ready to get the brain chip. I'm ready to just get the brain chip, get it over with. Let's just unify with the AI because the AI is going to make us obsolete. You want to hear a hard truth before we get into this tonight? Here's a hard truth. The AI is already smarter than most people on this planet. And I'm not talking about the self-learning AI. Like this AI on my phone is already smarter than most people on this planet. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh boy, we are absolutely cooked. The AI that can teach itself is going to be smarter than the smartest humans. Honestly, our only hope is to integrate with the AI, integrate with the machines, and use it as a tool and get better than them at this point. Okay. Chat, I just got real dark there. Let's lighten the mood a little bit. Let's lighten the mood. Chat, I was going to save this to the end. This was going to be our moment of Zen, but it actually fits now. It actually fits with what we're talking about. Where is it? Here it is. Before we get to our watch party, which is next, we have an early moment of Zen. Because it's relevant, our boy Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about the aliens. Was he on Bill Maher again recently? Chat, I'd kill just for one interview where I can just lay the truth out in 10 minutes, right? They give this dude like 50 interviews and he's never said anything profound in his life. Anyway, here we go. This is compare what I just laid out for you, the hard, scary truth, compared to what they talk about on mainstream media. Here you go.
It's odd that aliens would cross the galaxy to go look in your butthole. That would just be that's
no, it's not.
Oh, it's not.
That's where you would look. Wait, up through there. That's medically. That's what we do anyway.
Yeah.
We look in there before, and it's yes.
Okay, so dogs do it. Dogs go up their butthole.
No, they just sniff there. We have instruments. They have instruments. They're looking. It's not about the butthole. It's about getting inside the body through the butthole.
What would be interesting is if the aliens had some of these dog elements to them, and you greet them, and the first thing they want to do is go around and sniff your butt.
Let's talk.
No, I'm serious. They might have habits that would be strange to us.
Okay,
Chat. They have to be trying to make people stupider, right? Like that's the only thing I can take from this. Like, first of all, I made one butthole joke and I can never live it down for the rest of my life. And it was a good comparison. All buttholes do look similar. You can't say this butthole is this person's butthole or that one's that person's butthole. Maybe you can. But you get the point. This is just stupid nonsense. Bill Maher is trying to ask why the aliens are coming here to probe people. And he's like, hey, why would they come here? Dude, who fucking cares about the aliens coming? The fact that you're even talking about the aliens coming here and probing people, this is what I'm talking about, chat. Exhibit A on keep the aliens safe. You know what they say is like a sick mind can't talk about anything other than perverted shit because that's all they want to talk about. The only thing these people are thinking about is sniffing alien buttholes. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson, instead of letting it go and talking about actual physics, he's like, well, what if the aliens were like dogs and they like to sniff buttholes? You're like, what is wrong with you, man? What is actually wrong with you? If you're the first person the aliens greet, we're doomed. They're going to think we're idiots and they're just going to annihilate us they're going to put us out of our own misery. If they meet Neil deGrasse Tyson first, they're going to think there's no intelligent life here and there's no hope for the future. And they're just going to zap us into a black hole and that's going to be the end. Okay. That's enough hating. But anyway, let's talk about some real physics. Now, like I said, I spoke to Thomas Valone, Dr. Thomas Valone, on the phone right before this. Interesting guy. I can't wait to talk to him on the podcast. Lots of interesting stories, including some of the stuff that I already spoke about here. And he knows a lot of the engineers that we have spoken about. So we're going to get inside information. And I don't think he's seen the videos yet. So just saying, we'll see. Now, some of you might be new. Some of you might be like, I like the cut of this Ashton guy's jib, but I don't know about this 0-point energy thing. Like, what even is that? And why is that important? So I've explained it like 50 times, but you know what? We're going to do it again. Why? Because it's so important. You can't understand the advanced concepts like teleporting a plane until you understand the basic concepts like what is even going on in this here reality around me? Is that air I'm breathing right now? It is. It is actually air you're breathing. But is that space-time empty? No. That empty space-time is not really empty. There's a false vacuum. You could think of it as a false empty space. And we can get rid of even more of that energy and go to the true vacuum, the true nothing. You say, oh, is that like draining my tub? It is. It is. And guess what? You understand 0-point energy now. The tub, the water in the tub you're draining, that's 0-point energy. They say we can't interact with that. We say we can't use that. And I say they're idiots. They're dum-dums. So we're going to listen to a not dum-dum explain to us 0-point energy. Here is the first video. I will summarize and react as appropriate. And we're going to do this. We'll try at 1.25 speed. We might go a little faster. We'll see how it is. Oh, by the way, this is Stephen Greer. This is Stephen Greer's website. This is like the hot sheets. This is like Men in Black when they go up and they go to the National Enquirer. He's like, don't you want to get the news from the New York Times? I'm like, bitch, nah. I go to the hot sheets. When I want to know where the real science is at, I don't go to the New York Times. I go to Dr. Stephen Greer's serious website. That's where all the real engineers, for some reason, which I can't fully explain, he should go back to making videos like this. This is the bread and butter right here. Here we go. Oh, this is timely. Also, Dr. Thomas Valone has met Bob Lazar multiple times. You know I asked about that, chat. Oh boy, it's gonna be a good interview. I can't wait to talk to him. Okay, here we go. So this is the man. This is 20 years ago. Speaking to Dr. Stephen Greer, 2004, I think, somewhere around that time. Here we go.
anti-gravity, electrogravitics, and zero-point energy research that I'm aware of, I would feel that recently I just met Bob Lazar and had a very nice conversation with him in Las Vegas. So I feel even more confident of his sincerity and his experience at S4 in Groom Lake, Area 51, for those who are not aware of it. S4 is actually south of Area 51. But the important thing is that from his experience alone, the very convincing picture of very advanced circular aircraft or circular levitating craft becomes very apparent. And this advancement in propulsion and anti-gravity has not been really available to the civilian population virtually at all. We know of work done by Townsend Brown, for example, which actually I recently published in the Lattice Rising magazine. And Townsend Brown specifically proved through his demonstrations on Project Winter Haven that the possibility of providing a unidirectional force from a charge separation on a craft, especially designed craft, is feasible, and importantly, it also cushions the supersonic braking effect.
Okay, so right away, whoa, he's already name dropping all the right people here. Thomas Townsend Brown. You're like, okay, I can already see what's. In fact, I started to feel like this is just like an older version of myself. Like this guy has been investigating this topic for years before me, before the internet was even a thing. And you start to realize that this disclosure, what we've been doing, has only been possible because of social media. I have never had anyone from mainstream media ever even reach out before. Didn't matter how big a podcast I went on. CNN never wanted to reach out. And you realize these people have not had an opportunity to even spread their wings, to tell people what they know. And one last point before we go back to this is that a lot of people will wonder how they kept this hidden. And if it was hidden, why weren't more people speaking out? They were. Listen to this man right here. This is a well-researched, well-read man literally laying it out, laying out the facts. And everybody just ignored him, completely ignored him. Probably said it's pseudoscience, whatever. Like, this is the true reality of what kids in the future will actually get taught. They're going to get taught about Tesla, Thomas Townsend Brown. They're going to get taught about electrogravitics because it's true and it's real. And the people that aren't getting talked about, they'll be treated like Amish people, ignoring the reality.
Electrogravitics by itself is specifically the propulsion effect that's gained by a separating charge on the edge or the surface of an aircraft. And I use aircraft in a very general way to mean spacecraft or any other type of craft. The interesting thing is, from my research, I also feel that there's a magnetogravitics available as well. In fact, Dr. Ning Li in the latest Popular Mechanics magazine has that term used in her research. So there's both options available for providing gravity anomalies. And this, I feel, is a very viable area of research, interesting research.
Ning Li name drop. Magnetogravitics. So this was spinning superconductor producing anti-gravitational effects. I definitely want to ask him about the difference between electrogravitics and magnetogravitics, if there is a difference at all. I mean, there's a duality to electromagnetism, so presumably they must be closely related.
That now is being suggested by Boyd Bushman from the Lockheed. He's retired from Lockheed, and he describes some of that research that he's willing to talk about, and of course an anti-gravity effect that he's also witnessed.
Oh, okay. So now I know what he's talking about, because Boyd Bushman took the magnets, confined them together like all opposing magnets, and then dropped them. I think he was telling me on the phone about this. Confining magnets, drops them, and the idea is if it drops slower than normal, there must be some anti-gravitational effect, right? And this is interesting because you can take a magnet, drop it through a copper tube, and it slows down, right? It slows down. So that was a fun video to watch. Makes you wonder what's happening at the atomic level. The electrons are repelling each other, causing this friction.
And measured. You're asking about the unacknowledged programs, and I first of all would like to described the fact that many people feel, and including politicians and senators, have been quoted on TV recently. For example, The $1 Billion Secret that was aired on the Learning Channel for 2 hours. They interviewed, I believe it was Senator Murkowski from the Energy Committee, and he specifically said this was a waste of taxpayers' money to have covert operations that have developed advanced technologies in this energy or propulsion area, and then NASA is also getting tax dollars to do the same thing all over again. The parallel development, he felt, was a waste of taxpayers' money.
That is a huge argument. Now, before we get to that, separation of charge equals keeping your dipole open. 100% true. If you are new to this stream or physics in general, I see a lot of people say, Ashton, I don't understand this. I try to keep up, but I can't. Okay, I'm about to teach you more about electricity than anybody ever. You'll be able to know more than your electrician. Number one question, what is electricity? I don't know. A separation of positive and negative charge. When the charges come together, they equalize. Now they're neutral. If you separate that charge, it wants to come together, right? Keep your dipole open refers to keeping the charge separated, and then a current can flow through them. Now you know what electricity is. That's all there is. Electricity is a separation of positive and minus charge. Now you know more. Yes, you, Minnesota girl. Direct call out. Direct call out. Now you know more than your electrician. Sorry, what was he saying here?
I've seen other senators say the same thing. In fact, there's money. I've seen other senators. NASA is also getting taxed off.
The parallel inventions. From a taxpayer perspective, one of the most compelling arguments for why this should be disclosed, legal arguments, is we are researching stuff that we have already solved. From the simplest perspective, you'd say, well, we've already solved unification. Why are we spending millions doing it? From the fusion perspective, we've already solved perfect, cool fusion. Why are we throwing so much billions of dollars into hot fusion? It's all wasted money. All wasted money. Because you can come back and say, hey, we're doing certain things for national security, etc. But at the end of the day, we're wasting money because we're trying to keep secrets. And from a perspective of sending anyone into outer space, it's a liability. If we use old rocket technology to shoot people in outer space, you just saw what happened. I think it was Jeff Bezos' rocket or whatever. Somebody's rocket just blew up. Imagine if there's people inside that. GG's. Instead, we have plasma orb technology that can teleport people while they're in an airplane. We can use existing infrastructure, airplanes. We can just have airplanes lift off, and then we can have orbs come and just teleport them wherever we want it to go. And they can just come out the other side. We can just make air travel become like a 5-minute thing anywhere you want to go in the world. We don't even need new technology for it. You're like, how much money are we wasting on just fuel for no reason? Right? So these are even if you ignore the cover up and everything else, these are just the logical reasons for why we simply should just reveal this. Like, it's stupid not to, and a liability, and dangerous not to.
To do the same thing all over again. The parallel development, he felt, was a waste of taxpayers' money. I've seen other senators say the same thing. In fact, that particular senator requested information from the president about such covert operations. For example, UFO sightings for decades now have cited the fact that all these crafts seem to move in very irregular, fast-changing patterns. And for any craft to do a fast-changing pattern means that they're experiencing perhaps tens of Gs inside the craft if it was a normal inertia-bearing type of material craft. But what's obvious is that they do it so effortlessly and can change direction so quickly that very likely they're not being thrown against the wall of the craft as it's changing. More likely, in fact, from the book that I just read recently, Dr. Paul Hill, who was a NASA scientist, Unconventional Flying Objects, he describes the fact that as you're producing a small anti-gravity force downward, approximately 1 G worth, that the inhabitants, the occupants of the craft, all they're experiencing is a force downward. They can be sitting there very comfortably eating their lunch or whatever, and meanwhile the craft is going through all kinds of gyrations, and specifically using that downward force to brake and to bank as well as to accelerate upwards. I believe the state of the art.
You know, here's just a simple, beautiful thought. Anti-gravity is just a downward force. Gravity is a downward force. Anti-gravity is just an upward force. That's it. That's why I always harp on the fact that gravity is a pressure force. You might say, why does Ashton always say gravity is just a pressure force? Because it is. That's it. That's how simple gravity is. If I were to explain gravity from the 0-point energy perspective, I would say gravity is the matter pulling the 0-point energy in. That's why we feel gravity. That's why we feel it. It's pulling that 0-point energy in all the time, right? So you don't need gravity to be this complex thing. Gravity is actually this very simple effect that can be counteracted in a bunch of different ways. Anything that can put an upward force can counteract gravity.
Just from my own personal opinion of the covert black project unacknowledged aircraft or spacecraft or circular craft is as Bob Lazar describes. He describes more than a dozen different circular craft that are operational at Area 51. He's seen more than one tested and hovered. I've heard rumors, for example, that we have bases on the moon and Mars already. It's very likely we do. Because when you think of the fact that if you have a craft that you can get into and travel very quickly with no fuel, this is an important fact. We now in America realize that we can no longer survive on oil consumption. We're at the point now where...
Pause chat. You have to ban yourself. You're getting canceled for this hilarious joke. Will Somalis be forced to maintain a space program just to be pirates still? Auto ban chat. Auto ban, no comment.
We need an extra 1% every year to survive. My wife and I just completed a study of the Department of Energy's Comprehensive National Energy Strategy. It took us almost a year to do the entire book. The interesting thing is that OPEC is not about to or even capable of increasing their oil exports. They recently decreased 1.2% last year, and that caused all our oil prices to go haywire. So we're at the point now where we have to demand free energy. The public doesn't really understand what free energy is, but I believe it's already available through 0-point energy converters. And so at Area 51, for example, S4...
Let me bring on real talk. Serious talk for a second. No Somali pirate jokes. Shit, chat. He's bringing up a good point here. You're ruining it, chat. He's bringing up a great point. We need more energy. Now, the crazy part about this is from 20 years ago. And he's like, we're going to need more energy. Energy requirements are going up 20%, blah, 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 every year, whatever it is. This is the most relevant topic right now. How are we going to power our AI data centers? Hell, dude, the woke people are starting to scare me. The woke people are starting to go full anti-science. They're like, we're against data centers now. Like, shit, when did we become against computers? Like, we got to stop calling it AI data centers. Let's just call them data centers again. Because people are literally coming out now against computers. They're like, shit, we don't want any more computers. Are we just going to become like completely anti-technology now? Like, what is the actual end game on that line of reasoning? Seriously, please. Okay. But I can't wait to ask him about what his perspective is on the fusion companies and their contracts with the AI data centers. With the AI data centers that are going to come and control your life to scare them. Because he kind of foresaw the future. And now... what he's bringing up here is part of the reason why we need 0-point energy is because we need new energy sources. And now we're seeing the disclosure of fusion because we need the energy source. You guys think, like, it's so crazy to me that people are just ignoring the fact that the first fusion reactors are going to literally be for commercial companies making data centers. Isn't that weird to anybody else? Does it seem normal that the very first fusion reactor to exist is going to be running an AI data center? Don't you think we should have invented that, like, with our government, through a private grant, or like through a research thing? No, because they already had it figured out. It's been figured out for a long time. They were just waiting to commercialize it. And now they're like, okay, here's the time where we need it. Just perfectly coincides when we need a new energy source. You think that's random? You got to be out of your mind to think that we randomed into fusion energy the exact moment we needed it for our AI data centers. Okay, sorry, guys.
We understand that there is a possibility for this type of propulsion, for this type of energy conversion.
I gotta turn my video
getting
off.
energy and propulsion inside one vehicle. The fascinating thing about zero-point energy is, to just step back and explain it, is that zero-point energy essentially is the energy that the vacuum possesses as we go down to a state of zero gas, zero heat, and zero pressure. So the conversion of zero-point energy is probably happening all around us. I just listened to a talk by Tom Bearden recently, who also says that zero-point energy is constantly being converted. I met another scientist at the Institute for New Energy a month ago that told me the same thing. From his research, for decades of work, Martin Marietta and other places, he felt that zero-point energy was something more apparent than we even know is real. So,
Woo! That is music to my ears right there. You attended a talk with Tom Bearden, the goat, the original Southern goat, Tom Bearden. That's how I learned how electricity works. And he says 0-point energy might be even more fundamental than we realize. Do you know what he just said right there? This is 20 years ago. I had never even seen a video of Tom Valone before a week ago. He's saying what I said about energy being like a energy cycle. We live in an energy cycle, just like with the water cycle, where the water rains down into the water to the ocean. We pump it out of the ground, we drink it, we pee it out, it goes back into the air, whatever, and the cycle continues. This is true of energy as well. Energy is exchanging with every atom in your body. The 0-point energy is exchanging energy with it all the time, which means it's both releasing energy and absorbing energy. Release the 0-point energy field. The 0-point energy field is always absorbing energy and releasing energy. That is a profound thought. And the reason why it's so profound and so important is because when you talk to the norms, the primitives, as I call them, they deserve it. They'll say, you can't tap into this 0-point energy. There's nothing there. There's nothing there to get out of. But we know that's not true. We live in basically an ocean of energy. And they'll say, well, it doesn't feel like there's anything there. And you say, well, yeah, it's like when you're in the water and your body equalizes with the water, you would say the water doesn't feel warm, but if I touch it, it's warm. You just don't realize it's there, but it is. It's there. Believe us, it's there. We've proven it mathematically, experimentally. It's been proven. It's not in denial.
So right now, we're discovering that there are ways to not only get heat out of the vacuum. Hal Puthoff published a physics review article on that. We can
He just said the secret words, chat. Hal Puthoff just published on that, on how to get heat out of the vacuum. The original goat, chat. The original goat, Hal Puthoff.
also get energy out of the vacuum, according to his theory. And it's very possible that we can provide some kind of force. I would say that the motivation or the motive for the Patent Office to be suppressing various types of energy inventions is certainly motivated by other government agencies. And other government agencies, even, for example, the American Physical Society, benefits by certain government grants. I think the motive also within the Patent Office is to save face. So I literally lost my job at the Patent Office for trying to educate the public and the examiners on new energy inventions that could save our planet.
Hold on, slow down, boss. You're going too fast on me here. Number one, he nails it. Intuits that the big problem is national security. Big problem is national security. Intelligence communities don't want to give this up. Everybody's trying to keep this technology. The danger associated with it, if somebody else were to get the technology. What else does he say here? Forget.
Suppressing various types of energy inventions is certainly motivated by other government agencies. And other government agencies, even, for example, the American Physical Society, benefits by certain government grants. I think the motive...
Yeah, the grants. And then also the science suppression. How does it work? Well, who pays the American Physical Society? Who controls these entities, even these scientific entities? Well, ultimately, you go up high enough, you get to the government, daddy government.
Also, within the patent office is to save face. So I literally.
And then to save face, realize that the patent officers will automatically reject anything that is perceived to be free energy, perpetual motion. Automatically gets rejected. Now you're going to say you were wrong that entire time? You've been lying and saying people's patents are fake when they're real for 100 years? You've known about this and you've been lying about it? How many lives did you destroy? How much damage is caused by this? Part of the reason for the cover-up is so much damage has been caused. Now we have to save face. And this is why I think, my opinion, that they're going to blame this on aliens, because this allows them to save face. We can suddenly discover alien technology. They're going to reveal these videos and they're going to go, we don't know what this is. Oh, we're reverse engineering it now in real time. The best part would be if they do this. If they come out and they release some more plasma orb videos and they go, we have no idea what this is. And then they go, oh, this Ashton Forbes guy is figuring it out. Look, he's figured it out. We just discovered new alien technology. And then I go, what the hell are you talking about? I'm saying that you figured it out. And they go, we don't know what you're talking about. Those videos are fake. Those videos are fake. That would be the greatest irony of all. If they then came back and blamed me and said, oh, I figured it out, but then just refused to accept the videos are real. They are going to blame aliens, and then we're going to suddenly discover this alien technology, and then they're going to pretend like all that other stuff that happened was just had to be blamed. The aliens must have done that. We don't know. Aliens must have done MH370. Aliens must have abducted people or whatever their weird stuff happened in the past. We'll see.
Lost my job at the patent office for trying to educate the public and the examiners on new energy inventions that could save our planet, that are carbon-free and fuelless.
This is crazy. He loses his job at the patent office? I'm gonna save the story for the interview.
We particularly look at the next 20 years. We're relying upon the import and usage of about 20 million gallons.
Skip ahead of here. This
steady output at a fair price. And so what I believe is happening, and I suppose there are other critics as well that will analyze the situation, knowing that there is a peak coming up and a forced decline. The best way they can profit, since they hold 2/3 of the world's oil reserves, is to essentially cut back 1% like they did last year, now instead of later. And by doing that, they force prices up artificially high and essentially get us ready for being weaned off of this biological fluid. And when we realize what we're doing to the atmosphere as well, by being dependent upon this dead fossil remains from our ancient history, that now we're forcing that carbon up into the atmosphere, our carbon dioxide levels have now surpassed 300 parts per billion for the first time in 400,000 years. And that's been verified by work at the National Atmospheric Centers. So what we realize is that we're all of a sudden now importing into the atmosphere a highly potent greenhouse gas that is scheduled to double within about 50 years. Our energy...
Bro, that's crazy. This is so crazy. He's pushing climate change propaganda and probably not even realizing it. Because from his perspective, he's like, this is a non-issue. He's like, we shouldn't have to worry about this because we have free energy. He's like, we're pushing all this stuff into the atmosphere and it's so bad. And then what do the woke people do? They take all the fear-mongering and they amplify the fear-mongering and suppress the solution. The solution is literally free energy. We have 0 point energy. And they say, we have this huge problem. Climate change is ending everything. And you go, well, here's the solution. We got 0 point energy, free energy. And they go, that's fake. That's fake. We're all doomed. We're all doomed. 0 point energy is fake. We need windmills. We need windmills to kill millions of birds. You're like, how's that going to help? Don't ask questions. Just build them. They're ugly as shit. Build them. Make your whole society ugly. Take some toxic solar panels. Cover your fields in toxic solar panels. And then the hail will come and destroy them all. and you will just throw them in the dump. We're very smart, chat. We're primitives that are very progressive. We're very progressive, chat.
The consumption demand and has to have 20% more within 20 years. We don't know where that's going to come from. And if we expect that OPEC's going to provide it, we're going to be sadly mistaken. And I believe that a war for oil is scheduled in our near future, especially when a presidential candidate says we're going to be a hardliner against OPEC to demand more oil. Who are we to demand from somebody who controls the market? So I think essentially that our human race to survive has to have free energy. We were at a collision course right now. Our economy cannot expect to expand. Our propulsion industry, firecrackers going up in the air to send a little 1% of our space payload to a near Earth orbit is a huge waste of money. I feel very strongly that free energy and anti-gravity are very imminent, and that there are a lot of inventors that have put together the basis for this type of new energy future, and it's just a matter of us getting investors together and doing the work. So we have a very good future to look forward to, but it involves new thinking and getting rid of the old meter JP Morgan mentality, where we have to pay for our energy consistently month after month in gallons.
I like him, and I can't wait to talk to him, because what I really want to debate is it right to reveal it? He says we need this as a civilization. I think I agree. But also, and I told him straight up, I wanted him to understand where I was coming from as a human. I'm not sure if it's right. I don't think we really are ready. I think we are going to destroy ourselves with this technology. To me, it's unavoidable. So let's go to this other interview I've got here. What up? What up, Embers? This is my biggest fan. Embers is like one of my biggest fans. Literally, he loves me so much that he stalked one of my ex-girlfriends and pretended to be her and sent a letter to my mom. It's pretty sweet. Good guy, that Embers Ashes. Okay, next video, chat. Next video. Here's our man again. Let's dig right into this. This is also from, I think, about 2004, something like that. So we're going to, I think this is about the same speed. Let's see. Oh, here we go.
Scientists call for a research blitz targeting extreme possibilities. Now, doesn't that sound like a fringe article from Extraordinary Technology? No, it's in the LA Times. And
big shout out to the Rumble and the Pill chat tonight, guys. You guys have been popping off. I just want to know I see you guys. Appreciate you. Let's keep going. So this is the second video. This is one of his presentations. I can't remember which conference, around 2004, but he's going to explain 0-point energy here. And then the beauty of this one, the real reason why I wanted to show this is at the end, he talks about real experiments and things that people are building that prove 0-point energy. Which is funny, because that's what I've been trying to do, is say, hey, here are these free energy microchips, these engineers, and trying to highlight them so they get more attention, so we can get this out, get this information to people.
And just to paraphrase to quote one of the leading paragraph sentences, which criticizes both the presidential candidates, for just looking at standard alternatives. They're writing in the journal Science, and Caldera and 17 other eminent American and Canadian scientists conclude that the only hope for solving the world's looming energy shortage is to consider things we've barely imagined. Hello, people are waking up. This is wonderful. They propose a research blitz of previously unimagined proportions.
Okay.
Well, as a matter of fact, NASA has helped us in this case, because they're pointing out on this website that 0-point energy essentially has random electromagnetic waves. And this is the first very important part to it, that if you realize vacuum fluctuations are real, you've come away from this lecture with a whole new understanding of reality.
So I'm going to skip through this part a little bit, because we've spoken about 0-point energy a lot. But here is the most fundamental part. The same thing where I just said to you about the space is not empty. Empty space is not empty. What we're saying is, if you go up there to outer space, and you pull out all the light, every bit of light, every bit of heat from any amount of empty space, it's still not empty. There's something called virtual particles. Those virtual particles are literally 0-point energy, literally real energy that can be tapped into. And he's saying, if you take anything out of this, you should realize that these virtual particles, these fluctuations, They are real, undeniably real, and experimentally proven. And if you are an intelligent, high IQ futurist, your only question is, how do we tap into them? How do we tap into them? Let's find a way. Got to be a way. And the answer is, of course there is. Of course there's a way to tap into it. It's like saying, of course there's a way to tap into the ocean, the energy of the ocean. We can make a water mill, right? We can make a hydroelectric dam. We can tap in to the 0 point energy. When they're teleporting to MH370, they're pushing the space-time around it aside briefly. Bloop. That's how they're able to pull the trick off. That's why it doesn't require that much energy. They're manipulating the medium. They're manipulating the 0 point energy. Push it around you, just like a submarine pushing through the water.
Vacuum fluctuations are real. For years, they were called virtual, and they still are in the textbooks. They're only virtual particles, therefore they have no effects. And that's what mainstream science always taught.
And this is actually why we should not call them virtual particles. Because the biggest psyop they've pulled is the neuro-linguistic programming, where they change the wording of things to confuse us or to be misnomers, like dark energy being converted from 0 point energy, like virtual particles being converted from 0 point energy. 0 point energy is something that makes sense. Virtual particles, what is that? Is that real? They're real. They do real things. So why are we calling them virtual? We're calling them virtual because we can't see them? Well, how about an extra dimension instead? Let's just stop making up stupid shit and then instead just go with what we already know. Isn't that just easier?
But the enormous energy density, which is still a number that's been bantered around like crazy, depending on who you listen to, it's 10 to the umpteenth joules per cubic meter.
And the energy density, this is the biggest argument. They say that the energy density is really small. It's not. It's huge. The energy density of 0 point energy is huge. And it's easy to understand why. If I were to ask you, how many different waves, different sizes of waves can you fit on my screen right here? You'd be like, basically infinite. How many different sizes of waves can you imagine? Basically infinite numbers of sizes. So add that all up. That's a lot of energy. Even if those waves are really, really small, there's just basically infinite of them. That's the idea. That's the simple idea of quantum mechanics, is that if you just take any two walls, 3 walls, but make it simple, 2-dimensional, through 2 walls, only a certain amount of modes can fit in here. And if you add them all up, that's the amount of energy that's available. And when they add it up, it's infinite. 10 to the 120. Huge number. Okay, let's skip ahead a little bit. Okay.
Together, and with tremendous force, with an exponential third power and fourth power as the distances change. Now, to illustrate, there's actually a diagram here that's drawn below it. This is supposed to be a cloud chamber picture. And one thing we have to acknowledge is that electron-positron pairs are coming out of the vacuum all the time. And what you see in this particular diagram too, which is not well reproduced in the slide, is a picture of your local electron. Every electron normally has been pictured as a single, perhaps ball, a sphere. But as a matter of fact, this is an electron that is a sphere, but it's dressed. And the dressing is all the activity buzzing around this electron that is literally attracted to the electrical gradient. And the electrical gradient is something that I'm very excited about, because in any transduction mode you see throughout nature, whether it's gravity gradient, temperature gradient, or magnetic gradient, which I'm exploring now, the gradient itself is how fast it changes over distance. And at this distance, which can be femtometers, 10 to the minus 15 meters, you get a tremendous gradient. It's so big that one particular article, which I cite in my feasibility study, points out that if the gradient's high enough, you'll get decay of the vacuum. The decay of the physical vacuum.
So this is awesome. Let me help you here. You might be wondering, what is he talking about here? Why is this so important? He's saying that your electron is not actually a little ball. It's not a little ball floating, a little planet floating around the sun. That's not really what the electron is. The electron is this cloud of energy. this cloud of energy, but there are gradients, meaning like think of the edge of a black hole. There are these gradients, these edges. And he's saying these edges, even on these tiny scales, these edges might have forces that are powerful enough to interact with the 0-point energy. What he's saying is he's giving you a logical way by which the atoms and the electrons can be interacting with 0-point energy. And it's relevant because Hal Puthoff's first paper, Ground State of the Atom, is all about how the atom is exchanging energy with 0-point energy. And here you go. This is it. This is the answer. These gradients on these tiny scales have powerful enough effects that they can literally tap into 0-point energy. There you go. That's why it occurs.
Is actually an article from Scientific American describing this phenomenon. So locally around every electron, every positron, every proton, a charged particle, the gradient's high enough to break down the vacuum. And when you break down the vacuum, it means, just like Paul Dirac said, you get all these negative energy particles coming to life. They literally have enough energy to pop out of the Dirac sea. And this picture, this image of the Dirac sea penetrating, permeating everything, but having negative energy, is the new quantum mechanical, quantum field theory image of what reality consists of.
So right there, he just lays it out. He says, we're in this ocean of energy, and when you tap into that ocean of energy, that is negative energy. That is. So we've been thinking about this problem wrong. We've been looking for the Harry Potter secret exotic energy, but the reality is it was just normal energy that was trapped in the extra dimension that we can pull out as 0-point energy. You say in order to do that, we need these very super strong electromagnetic effects, which we can get those effects on the tiny scale with electrons. In fact, it explains why electrons exist at all, because they're just a geometry at this tiny scale. If we scale that up, maybe we get black holes. Maybe we can produce these effects if we scale them up. And he's saying now we have a pathway to scale up gravity effects. We know it's electromagnetism that'll interact with it. The problem, you may say, well, why are we not getting this? Why are we not seeing this on the large scale? And I would agree, Yahtzee, indeed. The reason why we don't see this on large scale is now we're talking about high energy physics. We're talking about nuclear weapon level physics, even higher than that. High energy levels higher than nuclear weapons. That's the difference. Because when you have it super scaled down, sure, we can get that. But the more you scale it up, now you need huge energy levels. So it becomes very difficult to see these effects without access to the best equipment and stuff that is, almost certainly controlled.
No longer the 18th century image of empty space. See, in the 1700s, they thought the vacuum consisted of emptiness.
Now, one more point. He actually brought up another good thing that I haven't talked about in a long time. I used to talk about it in my early podcasts. How do we know the 0-point energy exists? Helium doesn't freeze. Helium-3 doesn't freeze. We can literally cool it down in empty space and it will stay as a liquid. Where's the energy coming from that keeps it as a liquid? Doesn't make any sense. Has to be energy there. Has to be.
That's where the word came from, vacuos and so forth. Vacuo is a Latin word, and it means to empty things. But they found that when you take out all the gas, there still was stuff there. And you take out the temperature, bring it down to absolute zero, there's still energy there. So this is an important consideration. So think of the fact that there's lots of activity going on in the vacuum, and this has also been regarded as what's called the quantum foam. Now, there wasn't much activity in this area of research up until 1997. And in 97, what we see, January 21st, in the New York Times, is that Dr. Lamoureux from Los Alamos Labs performed what he called the most intellectually satisfying experiment with 5% accuracy that proved the existence of the Casimir force for conductive plates. And at the time, this was regarded as they say, a theoretical interest. But the possibility of the universal vacuum might actually be a false vacuum is now becoming an understandable reality. It's no longer a possibility.
What did I just say? Keep in mind, this is from 2004. So this is only 7 years after this article. Pretty new. Keep in mind, this is basically the first real acceptance of 0-point energy right here. in mainstream acceptance of the quantum virtual particles. They did an experiment. It was 1997. So we're 30 years later. And if you look around, people have no clue this is real. That's how slow science is to adapt to new information. This is why people are scared to debate me. This is why mainstream physicists can't keep up. Because their ideas are old, are outdated. They've already been disproven long ago.
It's real. And Lamoureux's experiment woke up a lot of physicists who were on the fence wanting to stay in the classical mode, you know. And of course, I keep talking about, I would say, several very interesting ways to control the Casimir force. And so what we find, for example, is that the magnetic susceptibility is important. There's also the large range of parameters that are involved. And of course, even for experimental purposes, the permittivity and permeability effectively give you the control in terms of the impedance. So when you're dealing with an experimental environment, in other words, trying to build a black box that works, you might want to consider, as we have for centuries, the concept of push-pull. And so far, we've only got a push, but now we've got a pull. We've got something pulling apart, repelling the same things that originally were attracting it. And it's all due to the impedance within that container. And what we find...
Waste time I hear is so big. If we could reverse or control the magnitude of the Casimir effect is the two plates that just come together because the 0-point energy modes have been excluded. Not all of them can fit. If we could control this motion, we can theoretically control free energy. If I can, for a low energy input, say all of a sudden make the plates repel when they were going to attract, I can make a system that just oscillates, that produces energy. And if that energy is more than the input, then in theory, I can get free energy. And if I can do this electrically, this is ideal. If I can do it electrically, then I'm just going to input a little bit of energy, just like the swing, and I'm going to watch my swing go. So this is an engineering path towards free energy. This is why anything you see about reversing the Casimir effect is so important, because they're thinking, now I can make an engine out of this. Now it's just a matter of doing the math of the input versus the output. Now I can get a free energy device.
And this is very exciting to me, is that there are a number of experiments, and I'm only going to cite a few, but the rest are in the feasibility study. And they're also, this whole study, by the way, is actually on our website. We have a hard copy available, but I've posted that you can do to change one item and get a change in the other. If you want to force something to change and you know the temperature will do it, why not look at some temperature gradient as your input, and all of a sudden you get a Casimir force output.
And then he's like, oh, and he even takes it a step further. He's like, well, what is your input? What's going to be the thing that's going to trigger your change? What if it's temperature? What if you say above a certain temperature, your plates come in? Below a certain temperature, the plates go out. Well. That's very interesting. That would be a very interesting way to create a cyclical system that goes back and forth, especially if you can control it with plasma. And it also makes me think about Paul Thibodeau's thermo microchip, as well as the thermo computer too. Because you start to realize we can use temperature fluctuations as one of our, let's say, levers for interacting with 0-point energy. Interesting.
And that's exactly what scientists have done. And they've done it very creatively, as a matter of fact, as you'll see. Now, here's one scientist who, as I say, just passed away about a year ago, who basically was a pioneer in this subject. We looked for years for journal articles like this, and I believe this was 1984.
I saw it. I'm going to tell you the truth. I saw this image pop up. You have no idea how excited. You know how quickly I recognized this image on the left? I didn't even have to read the words on the right. I knew immediately this was Robert Forward's 1984 paper, because that's the exact concept of what he was trying to pull off with this spring. He was trying to make a spring where if I charge it, it's going to come together and like let the charge go and it'll come apart. and we'll use that as a back and forth motion to produce energy. Same concept as what I just explained, because he realized now it's just a matter of input electrical energy versus output.
Yeah, I believe what you need for physical review B. And the important thing is Robert L. Forward, for years, looked at the edges of science to see what emerging technologies were possible. And what he proposed initially was this could be a vacuum fluctuation battery. And to all of us who discovered this article, we felt, at least they're talking about it in the physical literature. In the phys rev literature, this is an important achievement to talk about zero-point energy there. Now, initially, he thought that this was perhaps a source of zero-point energy, but as it turns out, it basically is a battery storage facility. And what you find is that as you compare the forces on the plates, the Casimir force and also the Coulomb force, they tend to balance. And you can achieve a contraction of the spring when you pull charge out, and if you put in electrical current, then you stretch the spring a little bit.
Another interesting part, he says this is basically like a battery. It's like you can also develop a system that just pulls this energy in, and just the springs expand and expand and expand and expand. And you're basically pulling and absorbing energy too. So you can actually create intuitive capacitors, supercapacitors probably, from this concept, from this physics.
And of course, very little voltage is needed, as you see.
Okay, let's skip ahead a little bit.
So the zero-point energy basics that we're looking at here really is the bottom line in terms of the important facts. And I would like to also add in this particular slide that the uncertainty principle, which you may have heard of as the basis of quantum mechanics, the uncertainty principle itself predicts zero-point energy.
So quantumly, nothing ever stops moving. That's why zero-point energy exists. Now, what he brings up here is he points out this. The big thing he points out from this is that there is always spontaneous emission happening. I'm going to skip ahead through a little bit because we're getting a little bit later in the live stream. But a laser, imagine an atom here. If I shoot a laser beam at an atom, it excites the atom. It excites the atom, and then the atom can release energy in response. No problem there. The atom gets energy, and the atom releases energy in response. That's stimulated emission. But there's also something called spontaneous emission. Spontaneous emission, and this is what I think he's referring to with this parameter here, means that atoms will also just spontaneously emit light. The question you should have when I say that is, what? How? Where's that energy coming from? You're just spontaneously emitting light? Seems a little weird. So that speaks to this idea that the atoms are really in this bath of energy, exchanging energy with zero-point energy, because now you can explain spontaneous emission. Oh, well, the atoms are constantly absorbing energy from zero-point energy, so it makes sense that they would sometimes emit light. If you're living in an empty vacuum, now you really have to start to rationalize, like, did I just lose a little bit of life when my atoms just spontaneously emitted light? I just lost a little bit of energy. So now you would say, well, how much energy am I losing all the time? Does that really add up? How efficient can that be? Okay.
When you're looking at an uncertainty in momentum and position, and you're equating
Skip ahead a little bit.
Basically published a very short article and very readable article called Irreversibility and Generalized Noise. And in the title of this article, you see the essential components of the fluctuation dissipation theorem. In fact, they basically prove it in their article. So in Physical Review, Volume 83, 1951, they were introducing that this
money part right here. We're going to go from here. We kind of spoke about the dissipation and the interacting with zero-point energy. Let's go to the stimulated emission. Let's go to this part. Dark energy.
2004, I'll tell you, this year is probably one of the best years for zero-point energy I've ever seen. Would you believe in Aviation Week and Space Technology, March 1st, 2004, we get a whole article, which of course Hal Puthoff sends me 2 copies of, making sure I know it's getting recognized. That's the only time I hear from Hal Puthoff, when he's got a new publication that says how great he is.
What? Hal Puthoff sends me this? The only time I hear from Hal Puthoff is when there's something about how great he is? interesting, chat. Very interesting. I don't think these guys even realized how much those people were monitoring them. Hal Puthoff, CIA, DIA, he's got the DIRDs written about him. Guaranteed Hal Puthoff is near the top of the food chain on this one.
But here's the subtitle for 0 Point Energy emerges, and maybe the key to deep space travel. Now, I've already shown you one experiment that's proposing a way to induce motion on a subatomic or nanotechnology scale. But now we're describing, can you get hypersonic speeds and miles, per second, and 1,200 seats in your hypersonic flyer. And also, in the meantime, we want to extract energy as we do it. We don't want to just put it on board as a gasoline engine and hope we burn our way to Mars, or to the next star. And that's what NASA's doing now. I went to a NASA meeting, for example, where they're talking about destroying the shuttle, and they have nothing to replace it. And of course, there's all kinds of other depressing things about NASA too. But it's up to a lot of other folks and scientists to say, yes, we do have prototypes, we have discoveries, we can engineer this stuff, and now is the time for government grants to get together. And luckily, Dr. Mile is a good example, who's already been acknowledged by the Department of. I can't imagine traveling in space without both, onboard, convertible as you need it, without heavy weights of who knows what. I saw a science program just this last week where this guy.
Now, this slide, when this came up, I recognize this straight out of this book right here. Comparing breaking the sound barrier to breaking the speed of light. The equations, the forms in the equations are identical. When you plot them out, identical again. You wonder, can we break the light barrier? People used to think we couldn't break the sound barrier.
I was proposing an inflatable inner tube that he's going to put
in fact, this is David Froney in 2002. You can see in the bottom right.
And to be able to burn a steam engine on his way to Mars. I thought it was the best invention ever. So, whatever. So, but good luck to him. So now we get to the more practical physics of 0 Point energy. How do we really get powerful motion that applies fluid dynamics to things that your school teachers never taught you? My stepson says that his physics professors elucidate the physics that he learns. And I said, did they tell you about quantum entanglement or quantum teleportation? No. So the elucidation process is definitely needed here. Hydrodynamic model of vehicle interactions with a 0 point field.
Did they tell you about quantum entanglement or teleportation? They will in the future. They will in the future, chat.
Now that's a mouthful, but hydrodynamic is basically fluid dynamics. Let's look at sound. If we look at subsonic sound, subsonic flight, for years, the speed of sound basically was a barrier. It was treated as a barrier. Nobody ever thought you could break the barrier. Even Chuck Yeager was worried when he got into his flight path to break the sound barrier. But the strange thing is, if you look at the drag and you plot it as a ratio of velocity over your speed limit, which C here represents the speed of sound, you get a nice curve whose equation matches exactly what we're faced right now. Exactly the same equation for superluminal or subluminal flight. Right now we're in the subluminal flight mode. Every textbook on relativity tells you, this is what you memorize, this is your speed limit, and you can't go faster than the speed of light. Nothing can go faster than the speed of light. And of course, then there's another equation which describes the drag constant. And you get the same type of buildup in the fluid medium that you do for sound. And this to me also was very fascinating because this equation here, if you can't read it too well, is also reproduced over here. And once again, we're looking at permeability and permittivity. But previously we did mention that the temperature.
So when he says you're looking at permittivity and permeability, he's saying that electromagnetism is the thing that's triggering all this. Permittivity and permeability are the susceptibility of a medium to electric and magnetic fields. This is the key. This is why huge amounts of energy or energy density, energy trapped into a small region, is the key to unlocking this.
Dependence and impedance was directly related to permittivity and permeability. And now we're seeing it once again pop up as a very important parameter. Now, the Lorentz force compared to the 0 point field, this is actually an outgrowth of Puthoff's work. Puthoff's work is now being applied to this particular experiment. And Einstein-Hopf drag is exactly the analog in the light mode. as you see with the aerodynamic drag in the sound mode.
He just said, this is how PUDOFs work. As in space-time metric engineering. Did you guys already forget? Space-time metric engineering. Does that sound familiar?
So I'd like to enter in. I understand now that this is unclassified and it's public record, but as we all know, that's sometimes difficult for the public to get a hold of. A report, Defense Intelligence reference documents, advanced space propulsion based on vacuum, space-time metric engineering. Some light reading for some of our members.
Without objection.
Thank you.
That was a classified paper that is now declassified. Why do I have to work so hard to convince people this is real? Literally classified paper. Here's the dude talking about it, saying this is how PUDOFs model. This is that paper. Sometimes I wonder why we don't have 1 million views on every live stream chat. Then I remember it's a planet full of primitives.
And so what is exciting to me is that when you talk to people at the DOE, for example, Dave Hamilton, who runs an electromagnetic
like literally 30
talking
years
group,
later.
very interesting scientific exchange group, which is mostly internet-based. You find them talking a lot, even as the Bearden group does as well, on non-abelian electromagnetic fields. And essentially that mouthful...
Whoa! Non-abelian electromagnetic field? Chat. I'm just a humble healthcare IT guy, but I learned a few physics words, smart words, and that's one of the ones I learned. That basically means there's an extra dimension. It means there's an extra dimension, and if you spin some shit around, there's like a field, the vector potential matters. The magnetic vector potential matters now. Basically, is like when they're spinning this plane around and then it vanishes, why does it shoot back that way? The non-abelian fields. What he's saying right now. So let me go back 5 seconds.
See with the aerodynamic drag in the sound mode. And so what is exciting to me is that when you talk to people at the DOE, for example, Dave Hamilton, who runs an electromagnetic talking group, a very interesting scientific exchange group, which is mostly internet-based. You find them talking a lot, even as the Bearden group does as well, on non-abelian electromagnetic fields. And essentially that mouthful basically describes a non-commutating field. In other words, if you multiply A times B, it's not equal to B times A. And if you allow that non-commutation to apply, you get a whole new physics. And that
So there it is. This is the secret. This is why 5D physics is the answer. Okay, who out there is a noob who needs some help? Ready? What did he just say? He says, okay, I'm going to take A times B, and I add them up, and it equals 0. Now I'm going to do B plus A, and I add them up, and it equals 0 again. What he's saying is those are different. He's saying in the non-abelian fields, in the 5D fields, it matters if you go to A first or if you go to B first. Why? Because there's an extra dimension. One of those might be going this way. One of those might be going that way. There's an additional parameter that you have to take into account. This additional parameter is what sets up, enables quantum entanglement. This parameter is what allows us to connect 2 points in space-time that are not really connected. This is how we teleport a plane, chat. Pay attention.
change means that order is important as you apply fields and as they're multiplied. And also, of course, the other important thing here is the toroid. Fronig's work basically was at the Joint Propulsion Conference just a couple years ago, 2002. And that number is 3.
The Joint Propulsion Conference, the JPP, or the BPP, the NASA Breakthrough Physics Propulsion, that's what he's talking about. Froning led it.
So this paper is actually available from AIAA, and there's a library also that gives you hard copies or soft copies. Here's the Fronig's concept of the superluminal saucer. The non-abelian analog basically allows for the forces essentially the resistance representation R can be changed by surrounding the saucer-shaped starship with a toroidal electromagnetic field that distorts and perturbs the vacuum sufficiently to affect its permeability and permittivity. The vacuum perturbations are simulated by fluid field perturbations that result in the percentage change of the disturbance that basically allows for a big improvement and a reduction in the drag. And this is probably the most important part. In other words, so far, whenever we've considered moving through a vacuum or moving through a medium, you're always concerned with how the medium interacts with the vehicle. So far, as I explained before, the vacuum is treated as an empty vessel. So we never think of the vacuum as resistance.
But we just said right there, we can use an electromagnetic toroidal field to interact. Dude, that's what they're doing. They're spinning around the plane, making an electromagnetic field, literally what he just said. And he says, how are we going to do this? Because the 0 point energy is energy itself. So all we have to do is bounce on it like a trampoline. If we push on it, it's going to push back. So push on it a little bit locally. It'll push back on us. That's how we're going to get our jump. And there's going to be no resistance, but this isn't air resistance. We're talking inertia. We're talking resistance to motion. That's why it appears as though it's teleportation. Because resistance to motion is a wormhole to us. To us, visually, us humans, that's what it is.
Inertia proves that we do have resistance, and even gravitational forces also show that. So what Froning did here was to apply the fluid dynamics laws and perturb the vacuum with a toroidal electromagnetic field. And for those of you who are not familiar, a toroid simply is taking like a solenoid, a coil of wire, and winding it together to form a donut.
This is making me go crazy. ZPF loses drag when temperature goes to 0. That's actually such a simpler way to think about it. Based on what I just told you is you lose drag when the temperature, when the 0 point energy gets sucked out. Now there's no inertia, there's no drag, there's no resistance. But also we could think of that as temperature going to 0. Because temperature of 0 point energy is like 3 degrees, and then we go to absolute 0, we've reduced the 0 point energy. So in a way, this is why we see quantum effects when we cool down, like, you know, superconductors or all that crap.
So as you form the donut, the magnetic field's inside internally, and the A field, if the donut's say in my hand, the A field, the vector potential, is vertical. And it's a very unique field. There's lots of properties.
Literally just brings up the A vector potential right there. That's the exact thing he was talking about. He's like, you hold this toroid, the A vector potential goes right through the middle of the toroid. Hello? You say, Ashton, where are they teleporting the plane? Backwards. I'm not making that up. I'm not guessing. I know they're teleporting the plane backwards. Because when you look at the donut's going to shoot the force this way. The A vector potential is the direction they're shooting it through hyperspace, however you want to think of it.
The vector potential. And here's another good example. And if we allow for the temperature to basically approach absolute 0, wouldn't you know the nice coincidence is that the outer space temperature is around 3 degrees, absolute 0. So we have a very convenient enhancement of this phenomenon.
Yo, why did everybody say right hand rule at the same time? Yes, you're all correct, but you're freaking me out. What is this? What? Right hand rule's undefeated, chat.
By going out into space, which we cannot get when we're close to Earth. And of course, you get this accelerating recoil. And the other special bonus is it transfers energy from the ZP field as well. And that's perhaps the most surprising conclusion, is that you not only get this motional effect of force, unidirectional force, which he's trying to show here. This is actually a 1 over, it's a minus. So we're seeing a reduction on both sides. And so the vehicle is being pushed in one direction based on the negative
and like I said, all the physics come that you get free energy, you get EM drive, you get warp drive, and you get teleportation. You get all of the above with these. Inertia reduction, you can go slow if you want, you can go fast if you want. You can do whatever she's into, chat. Whatever she likes. Making it sexual. You got to make ZPE sexual or they won't listen.
So far this is in the conceptual mode, But the nice thing is the physics has provoked enough people to consider putting it in experimental mode.
Okay. So here's the key. This is the last part I want to dig into tonight, is that he also looked into the people that did experiments.
Now, another experiment that is perhaps nothing can get physicists more irritated and upset than basically say that we can get energy from a single heat bath and we don't need a temperature difference. Because what they basically think is that you're violating the second law of thermodynamics. Well, as a matter of fact, they are violating the second law of thermodynamics. And it's been in Science magazine in 2003, just last year. And it's also providing a lot of controversy. And of course, this is a big pillar of defense that's being collapsed now. And it caused a lot of exchange of letters and responses to the editor as well. And in fact, let me read the little description. And this is from a similar author who actually predated Scully's work. And he describes even more of the violation details. For example, the Casimir, the analysis of the Casimir engine cycle demonstrated a departure from the hydroelectric gaseous, oops, I'm sorry. That's in our next approach. This is our Browning photon Carnot engine. And what the Alavirden points out, and I'm happy to say this was brought to my attention from the Binotech conference a couple of years ago in Germany, whose some representatives are here today. And what Alavirden points out is that our main results are rather dramatic, apparently contradicting the second law. We show that the Clausius inequality, which is dq being always less than temperature times the difference in entropy, can be violated. And that it's even possible to extract work from the bath by cyclic variations of the parameter, and even throw in parenthetically perpetual motion device. And the physical cause for this appalling behavior will be traced back to quantum coherence in the presence of near equilibrium bath. And it's emphasized that quantum coherence is reflected in the quantum noise correlation and so forth, more technical details.
So quantum coherence. So what is he saying? They made a laser, and when they apply the electromagnetic equations for efficiency, they get out over 100% energy efficiency. So this is sort of equivalent to me speaking about a heat pump and how a heat pump can be over unity. Because the electrical input to move X amount of heat from here to over here, you're getting the more total energy than the amount of electrical energy input. Similar idea, but we're doing it with a laser now. So now this is what's really mind-blowing about this. And they're saying this is possible because of quantum coherence. You could think of that as quantum interference. When we interfere, we get a strengthened signal if it's constructive. It's a destructive interference that gets wiped out. So you could almost argue that what we're seeing here is we're seeing some sort of invisible, coherent effect that is occurring. Now, why? Because how did I tell you a laser works? I take my atom and I shoot it with a laser beam and it gets stimulated, and then it releases the stimulated energy. Great. Population inversion means I'm not just doing that to one atom. I'm going to take a group of atoms and I'm going to stimulate them, and they're going to release light. But this only works if most of the atoms are stimulated. Why? Because if only half the atoms are stimulated, then the other ones will absorb the light from the other half. The amount of release and the amount of absorption will be equal. So you need more than half of the atoms to be stimulated in order for there to be an emission of light. You with me so far? This violates that. This does not require population inversion. To me, that's free energy. To me, that's saying you're getting a trampoline effect without having population inversion. Then how is that occurring? Shouldn't be possible.
But the most important part is that we're literally describing something that's very similar to a micro laser cavity. That's literally what we're looking at here, is a micro laser cavity. And all we're proposing is this unusual phrase called quantum coherence. Well, that simply is a phase difference. And if you allow for a phase difference, you can then have a temperature difference internally that basically rotates or circulates radiation. And so radiation essentially is the medium to drive the piston. Radiation.
This is huge. This is big because this is being applied to the plasma orbs. The piston in the ion pumpy thing is probably not a medical physical piston like you imagine in your head. Here you go, China. China. This is for you, China and Iran, you nuclear scientists that are still alive. What he's saying here is if you can figure this out where you can have a stimulated emission without population inversion, then all we need is there to be a heat difference. If there's a little bit more heat over here and less heat over here, then this heat's going to move over here and you're going to create this system that's just never ending, a perpetual motion machine. And your piston just keeps pumping in and out as that heat keeps cycling through your system. So when you look at the plasma orbs, imagine that the plasma orb itself is its own contained system. And you see the stuff moving around because the heat inside is moving around. And that creates a pumping motion that produces energy. This is why these plasma fusion orbs, why they're free energy devices, but really they're just hyper efficient electrical engines. Hyper efficient electrical engines using fusion, the most efficient energy source we can use.
Pressure is what drives this piston. So once again, this is a theoretical model. However, it is so provocative that it's also provoking other experiments. And as we look at the micro laser, here's an artist rendition of what a micro laser would look like. 2 millionths of a meter across and about 100 nanometers thick. And these micro lasers basically achieve the lasing without inversion. And this is a major breakthrough because quantum mechanics is being applied here in a new application that essentially doesn't seem to make sense in terms of people who are used to the old style of lasers that required inversion. Now here's another one that uses a micro laser. And once again, this particular article, which was in Physical Review B, 1999, it's Dr. Pinto's article, mentions free energy in the abstract. He says, if this thing works, it'll basically provide unbounded free energy. And I was very pleased to see his courage at getting Physical Review even to include that and not edit it out. Now this cavity tends to be a little bit complicated. I would criticize Pinto because of the complex nature of this cavity. We're seeing something very similar to forward.
So right here, this is the basis for probably some of the first free energy microchips. What they're trying to do is create an asymmetry or a diode, a one-way street. If you can create a one-way street on your device, and it can have pulsed electrical input usually, but the idea is you're creating a one-way street, then you can create a waterfall. And if you've created a waterfall, now you can just pull free energy out of the back. You've created a tap into the 0-point energy. This is what they were trying to do.
You have a membrane or a plate that's being moved by charge and Casimir force. Just turn a light on.
Okay, so here's the part I wanted to get to, this part right here.
Casimir force here, charge upwards, and we're applying a little bit of voltage as well. Now the trick here is, and this is a 0-point energy trick, you discover these in the literature, and of course Pinto is now using one of them. The trick is that as you turn on your micro laser, you change the dielectric properties of the surface and instantly increase the Casimir force. Just turn a light on and you get a bigger force. Hello, free energy? Pinto probably couldn't sleep for a few days after he discovered that. And
whoa. Why is this profound? He's saying, if you shine a light on your surface, on your metal, it changes the dielectric properties. It changes the permittivity and permeability. Even if it's a little bit, that change in the permittivity means you've just changed the parameters of the Casimir effect. You've just changed permittivity, permeability. That's exactly what we need to have happen. That's the pathway to free energy. He's saying, oh, we just had to turn the lights on? Well, maybe I just turned the lights on and off really fast then. This is why all of these devices, every free energy device practically, uses pulsed power. This is probably the basic reason why every single one uses pulse power. At the end of the day, it comes down to permittivity and permeability.
And just changing the dielectric properties, all of a sudden the Casimir force gets bigger and pushes this thing upwards just because this little light went on. So
then you think about this. What did I tell you? All the equation is now is how much energy in versus how much energy out. And now all we're saying is all we have to do is turn the lights on. That's a very little amount of energy. So now you can begin to think about ways where you could engineer something by which all you're doing is turning the lights on and you're getting energy out. And are you getting more energy out than it flip the switch on to turn the lights on? Probably. Now pathways to free energy become very viable.
Is literally the entire secret to his whole, I think it's a 15-page article.
Skip ahead a little bit.
Now, along the same lines of moving something, the very fascinating, I would say, family of technologies that's also available today is the fluctuation-driven electricity. And as we look at the reasons for it, there's, first of all, the fluctuation theorem that has basically described experimental proof that as you perform experiments on something where you deliver heat to a system, half the time, heat is also delivered back to the source. It's a probabilistic type of system. And this was in Physics Today, actually, the article describing the fluctuation theorem. And so I found this very fascinating. In fact, here's the article, Crookes Physical Review E, 1999.
So the reason why I think this is interesting, we're going to kind of skip through some of this. We're getting near the end here, but this also speaks to where's that energy coming? If I deliver heat to something, half the time I get heat back, where's that energy coming from? Well, we can explain. The 0 point energy is constantly exchanging energy. So, of course, you're going to have spontaneous emission. Of course, you're going to have energy get delivered back to the source. And the other thing is that these speak directly now to Paul Thibodeau's. Why did Paul Thibodeau's free energy device work? Paul Thibodeau said, all you need is a thermal gradient. This will work as long as there's a temperature change. And there's basically temperature change everywhere happening all the time. So how does that work? Because it's not that the thermal change is what's driving the system, or it is actually, but that's what allows for the 0 point energy to get tapped into. You can think of the thermal bath as being the match or the lighter that's lighting the cannonball. The system itself is the cannon and the fuse on the cannon and the cannonball that's going to shoot out. And the 0 point energy is the cannon or the cannon shooting out, however you want to think of it. The thermal bath is you flicking the lighter on to set that whole thing in motion. That's why Paul Thibodeau's thermal bath is a free energy device. It's not that he's extracting energy magically from heat. So he's using the heat to begin the process of his microchip, which gets things moving, which turns the waterfall on. Boom. Boom, chat.
So the negative working, a buzzword, that you can also now prove that thermal noise can be rectified. And to me, this is the most exciting, simple, clear-cut direction.
This is why Charles Chase wanted Paul Thibodeau at his secret meeting, that Paul Thibodeau hadn't known any of those guys before, but they had all known each other. This is why you get invited to the secret meeting, because you accidentally stumble across free energy.
All 0 point energy nanotechnology research should actually pursue. And associated with this in Linky is also the fact that as we look at the type of devices he's working with, and right now we basically already have perpetual motion devices of the second kind, where, for example, in laboratories for over 10 years, a superconducting current has circulated with no need to add extra energy. And this has also baffled the industry because they always thought they'd have to get rechargers for the NMR units. The MRI, it's now called.
Holy shit, chat. Superconductivity alone. One of the first things before I even understood this, I'm like, how is superconductivity not just proof of free energy? Superconductivity means current flows with no resistance, literally no resistance, like zero resistance, as in current flows forever. That's perpetual motion. Superconductivity is proof of perpetual motion. And superconductivity is a macroscopic effect. Superfluidity. How is this even being argued? This is why I'm like, we're just a primitive, dumbass species.
per units. So this is completely converting energy from one source to another, and we're thinking that that would be the violation. Actually, this is the third kind, I'm sorry, where continually moves forward in one direction. And what we're finding is the second law is now being eroded by a couple of the inventions I showed you, especially when you're dealing with the steam.
So let me speak real quick about the laws of thermodynamics. First law still holds. Energy is not created or destroyed. We just found a huge reservoir. It's like, shit, there's no more gold. Well, we just found a whole gold mine. We found enough gold mine for the rest of all of eternity. We're good to go on the gold. So that's fine. Second law of thermodynamics is more complicated because second law of thermodynamics is about efficiency. It basically says you can never be more than 100% efficient. But as I showed you with the heat pump, that's not true. You can be more than 100% efficient in a situation when there's already a system set up. So the way around the second law is, well, if there's already a system set up and I can tap into the existing system, I can get around the second law. And this is why the second law gets broken. Depends on your perspective. My perspective would say the second law is not being broken. There's no closed systems. From the other perspective, they say the second law is being broken because you're tapping into a new energy source. And now, even if your system is not 100% efficient, it doesn't matter because you've got a whole nother input. So those are the different ways you can look at it. I don't care how you look at it. That's the answer. Enjoy.
Temperature. And the conservation of energy, which basically is the perpetual motion law of the first kind, is being violated, but you have to account for the zero-point field as a source of energy. And so in 1998, the big buzzword was the universe is accelerating, and Einstein was right. The cosmological constant should have been included in the general relativity equations, and yet he took it out. So originally in this article, they actually talked about zero-point energy being the source of the problem, why the galaxies were expanding. However, as time went by, the astronomers decided to change their language and call it dark energy. And I've been at more than one conference where I keep asking them, why are you calling it dark energy? There's no such thing, it's zero-point energy. And they said, well, we wanted to keep it vague.
I knew it! I knew it! I knew zero-point energy was dark energy. These assholes! How can you imagine there's a video like this of a dude being like, yeah, there's an article about it and they were calling it zero-point energy. They just decided we're just going to call it dark energy instead. I knew it. How can people deny this still? They literally just took zero-point energy and decided to make up fake-ass word, call it dark energy, and then just be like, we don't know what dark energy is. Yeah, because you made up something imaginary. It was always just zero-point energy. You kidding me? This is how they psyoped us. This is how they brainwashed us. You can literally do a whole history lesson on when they started the brainwashing that led us to where we're at now. Where I got dum-dums arguing with me about space is an empty vacuum. You can't absorb it. You can't get energy out of it. Holy crap, we're not going to make it.
Let's confuse the issue. That's scientific method, all right?
Exactly. The whole point of doing that, the only point of doing that is to confuse the issue, is to make science more confusing, which is the antithesis of what science is supposed to be about.
So in a wonderful, courageous attempt to bring this diversity or divestiture back into the fold of physics, we just have July 8th, 2004, Nature magazine reporting on Dr. Beck from London University. And
this is one of my favorite. This is my favorite one. I'm glad I didn't forget this one, guys.
This is the only source right now of this article. But this reference actually is repeated, and it will be in my future Energy e-news as well, if you're interested in getting on the email list.
The number one question, this will be our last thing we'll do for tonight. You would say, if this is true, we should get experiments that can prove that this zero-point energy is there, that this bath of energy exists. Can anyone in the chat guess what the next experiment that he's going to tell us about that proves this bath of energy exists? Anyone in the chat want to guess what the next one is? Spoiler, I'll give you a hint. It's something that we've discussed, that I've discussed before already, and I've discussed many times, actually. I'll give you one more hint. Next hint is Gary Stevenson. Gary Stevenson is the second hint. Let's see if anyone can figure it out.
So just let us know. And what this gentleman has done, the scientist has pointed out, is as you recall the previous equation I showed you from Planck's second law, the interesting thing is that without the zero-point energy term, you basically would have the dotted line approach. But with the zero-point field, you'd have all of these paths for the spectral density. And the interesting thing is the spectral density in Josephson junctions, which is basically a noise-driven system, which allows for tunneling in superconductors, turns out to follow the graph that includes zero-point energy. And what he found very fascinating, besides this particular graph, notice the frequency goes up to around 10 to the 12th, is that they also map over to the dark energy spectrum. Now, he would like to propose that the cutoff for zero-point and dark energy.
Nobody's freaking out in the discussion when he says this? Bro, you just said Josephson junctions prove zero-point energy is real. You just showed me the math. You're like, if zero-point energy is not real, then this should go like this. But when we do our Josephson junction, which is like a noise collector, it goes up just like we would expect with zero-point energy. Just like dark energy, which is just zero-point energy after all. Oh my God, chat. I didn't know there was proof like this lying around. What have I been doing? Sabine Hassenfelder's cooked. No wonder they're running away from me from the debate. I wasn't even SSJ4 yet. I was only Super Saiyan 2, maybe Super Saiyan 3. Now I just got like 3 more power-ups from 2004, chat. Always hide your power level. Nick Fuentes is right. Hide your power level, chat. Impress them. What the hell? I didn't know we had stuff like this.
Are the same, but there's a lot of controversy for that, and I won't even get into that issue because the cutoff for zero-point may be much further for many reasons. But the fascinating part is we can now look at Josephson junctions or diodes as being a source of zero-point energy.
Josephson junctions and diodes. This is what I'm talking about. You make your one-way highway, your diode, and this thing can just perpetually pull zero-point energy out. This is how these microchips, these zero-point energy microchips that are free energy microchips are going to end up working.
And he's, of course, saying dark energy equals zero-point energy.
Jesus.
So what do you do with the number of different fluctuating systems if you know that the thermal energy really is no use, or the non-thermal energy is really no use?
Okay, we'll call it there. This was pretty good. I think that's enough Yahtzees for tonight. So you can see why I was super excited to reach out to Dr. Thomas Valone and to actually speak to him in person, because, wow, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. And I think I got a few things that can push his stuff forward further, which includes high beta plasmoids and producing a cavity with those. Wow. Okay, guys. So look forward probably in the next couple weeks. I'm going to set up a recording with him. We're going to record, chat, talk about free energy, zero-point energy microchips, the future, what's happening in the world. Can't wait to work it all out. And probably going to promote some more of his stuff. I think he said he was going to send me more of his books that we can check out. And if you want here, guys, so a lot of people have been telling me you can't find the book, whatever. By the way, I'm not being paid to promote this. It just has the answers in it. This literally has the answers. Best physics book, easy to understand, only like 100 pages and then a bunch of appendixes. Hit up the publisher on the back here, adventuresunlimitedpress.com. See if you can hit them up. Okay. Support zero-point energy researchers, guys. Let's go to the super chats. Everybody in the Pilled chat, you are dope. You are the coolest of all my fans. You guys are the best. Ignore everything I say about the other ones. You guys are the coolest. John Glock, he gifts the phone, says, granted that position and the spin of the orbs, the constant velocity of MH370 is indicative of the mechanics of the warp event. Sal maintained that this is in no way indicated the trajectory of the final destination. I think he's wrong. He's wrong. Sal did kind of imply that we can send it anywhere, but he's just straight up wrong. It is a directed beam for sure. It's a directed beam, and they're shooting that thing that way. I'm happy to argue with Sal in our next conversation, and we're gonna set up another conversation with Salvatore Pais. I just got to get my thoughts collected on all this, and now we're at the point where it's getting harder and harder to deny and play dumb about the physics we're talking about here. So I do want to be somewhat careful because Sal's in a very serious position in the Navy, and this is a serious situation with this technology. So I don't want to go too far and go over the limit further than we already have. Maybe we will. Okay, Rumble chat. Ignore everything I said. Rumble chat, you're my favorite. Rumble chat, I love you more than the other two. Everything I say about those other ones, just ignore it. It's lies. It's lies I tell them to make them feel good. I love you, Rumble chat. I love you, TF13. Living Souls, Quick in Spirit. Appreciate you guys. Okay, YouTube chat. YouTube super chats. Chat, I was lying to both the Pill chat and the Rumble chat. You know YouTube is my favorite. You know YouTube, I love you, my sponsors. I would never say anything that would get me kicked off of here. You know I love you, Google. I know you're not evil. I've never said anything mean about you. Troy gives a huge super chat. $100. That's a straight up prime. That's a filet mignon right there. Filet mignon with baked potato on the side. Thank you very much. Says 0 point energy will happen. We are going to straight up steal the narrative from the alien people. We're going to steal. This is the interception about to go down right now. They're about to butt fumble disclosure right now. They're going to butt fumble disclosure. Trump's going to fire all their woke spooks. And we're going to come and swoop in. And we're going to teach people about plasma drones. And when they say, Ashton, what about the aliens? I'm going to say the thick whites got the biggest butts. That's what I'm going to say. Bet, chat, bet. Say I won't say it on CNN. Say when CNN finally interviews me, I won't talk about the thick whites' butts. I'm going to be like, you want to ask about wormholes? All I want to talk about is the thick whites. You know? DGen Specialist, $5 super chat says, the orbs are likely AI-assisted brain-computer interface technology. A lot of people are going this route with it. Companies like Tesla, SpaceX, proprietary. There is even a there's even a Defense Intelligence Reference document that talks about brain interfaces with computers and all this weird crap. And actually, Dr. Tom Valone was talking to me about it too. And I'm not against it. I told him, let your freak flag fly. You want to go on my podcast? Just say the craziest stuff. It's all good. It's all good. There's no judgments here. Truthfully, I don't know. But I'm just going with the simplest explanation is we probably just got some AI computers that can fly it around. That seems just really simple to me. If they got like, you know, precogs that are hooked up in pubs in like a bathtub somewhere with a bunch of mind things stuck to them, cool. That's cool too. It's whatever. Just show me some evidence. I'm down with it, you know? So it's possible. It's possible. End of the day, guys, this is what I say about MH370 and everything else as well, is I say, I'll believe any story. I'll believe that the unicorns came down and brought MH370 to the Berryland. They brought it to Narnia, where it's living out peacefully. Just show me the evidence for it. I'll believe it. I'll believe that the little gray aliens or the evil aliens or whatever that are controlling the girl. Just show me some evidence. There just isn't really any. That's the thing. And then what we're going to find is they're going to release a bunch more videos, and there's not going to be any aliens, but there's going to be a bunch of plasma orbs. So I'm going to explain the plasma orbs, and then we'll get to the aliens when we get to the aliens. Timothy Foster, thank you for that, Donald. He says, I and my fishing crew have seen anti-gravitic drones several times, and several times even close up. Aliens, zero. Exactly. Release the ZPE to the people. And I was even one of those people that said, it's got to be aliens. We can't do that crazy stuff. You know what changed, in my opinion? I learned about physics. I learned about electrical engineering. I watched a bunch of presentations, and I was like, oh, wait, we can do that stuff. We definitely can do that stuff. Like, we unequivocally can teleport stuff. It is not beyond humans to pull that off. Maybe before computers, before all the technology we have, maybe. But nowadays, definitely. And if you don't believe that, check out the video Veritasium did about microchips. That shit's magic to me. That's not real to me. That shit's more unbelievable to me than teleporting a plane. I don't believe they can do what they can do. It's actually insane. Okay. Charlie Gentry says, we are building your orb. Well, here we go, chat. Patent pending for electron screening via geometric mesh for fusion FRC beta teleportation or the skip hypothesis, among others. It's on our website, Hype Fusion. I'm suing the shit out of you, chat. You're getting your ass sued, Hype Fusion. They stole my idea. I got it recorded. I'm coming for you. I'm just kidding. No, go ahead. Do it. That's the whole point, chat. The whole point of me doing this is so that people realize, like, oh, shit, this might be real. Maybe if I get in on this, maybe I can pull it off. Now, let me give you the flip side. A lot of these engineers fail. Why? Engineering's hard. Business is hard. Commercializing stuff is hard. And then on top of that, you got the CIA who might kill you, sabotage you, sue you with reason, without reason. I mean, if you want to get into it, good luck. Good luck, I say. And if you're successful, you deserve it. You deserve it. And I will be here to help and promote as long as it's legit all the way. So thank you very much, Charlie Gentry. I wish you the best, my friend. Hype Fusion it is. Mick Leonard, great show again. Thank you, Mick Leonard. YBCO superconductor, Bose-Einstein condensate, Josephson junction. When an electron changes spin direction to align with the nucleus charge, the energy is released as a photon. It's called the hyperfine splitting. Ooh, very interesting. So there's all these things when we look at how atoms behave, how electrons behave, we suddenly see free energy everywhere. We see perpetual motion everywhere. We see duality and symmetry everywhere. And then we look at a bigger world and we go, well, that's not real. We only see one kind of gravity. Durr. Appreciate that super chat. Charlie Gentry, Ashton, I think, did we just say, we own the patent for exactly what you're saying about EM toroidal field. Happy to talk to you. Hype Plasma Fusion. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. DGen specialists, they surround the plane the way they do to make space with a small individual donuts. UFOs, so presumably aliens are going to use something similar, right? We're talking about geometry. We're talking about fundamental aspects of the universe. So when you see that, this is the reason why it's secret. This is what's secret. The reason why Salvatore Pais says it's easy. Once you figure out the recipe, everybody's going to be doing it. The aliens are using the same recipe we're going to be using. And that was previously why we didn't think it was possible to travel amongst the stars. And now we're going to realize, yes, it is. Lone Wolf, super sticker. Thank you very much. Charlie Gentry, back for the triple header, says, we also have a third secret patent for Casimir adjacent metal hull design made of little cells, and each cell individually shapes local vacuum energy. Pretty nice. So you're even on the microchip design as well. Lone Wolf, follow-up super sticker, another $10. Thank you very much. And then Scott Fixter, love your ridiculously accurate intuition. What do you think will unfold after MH370 truth is confirmed? I try not to think about it because it's scary. It's scary to think about how people will react and the sides that will be driven. People will think that it's fake. You guys have to realize, like, a significant percentage of people, even if it gets confirmed, will think it's fake. They'll say, this is a psyop. They're pushing this fake story. None of this is possible. None of this is real. That's why I keep thinking, and I keep thinking that the answer is we form our own breakaway civilization. I just don't even want to bother with the stupid people that are like, this isn't real. None of this is possible. Okay, fine. You know what? Fine. You get to be a slave. If you want to self-select into being a slave for the rest of your life, an Amish person slave that doesn't believe in technology, that's fine. We need those people. We need burger flippers. We need ditch diggers. If you want to be a person that punches a button for the rest of your life so that it feels like you have worth in your life, we love that for you. We're going to get the hell out of here. We're going to leave you to your thing, and we're going to go, I don't know, expand our consciousness or something, profound or whatever. That's my viewpoint. Scott Fixter again says, wet blanket, bury everything with noise until out of the news cycle, surge social interest. Now, this is something I was talking to Thomas Valone about, is that this is how we get this out. You have to create interest. You have to market it. He spoke to me and he thought I was like a Jesse Michaels kind of person. And I'm like, I'm not really a sales guy. I'm just a guy like you that's passionate about this. And I've been using every tool available to me to get it out there, which is social media, which is live streams, which is this content. So that's what we have to do. We have to keep doing it. We just keep building it up. This is why I appreciate you guys and like to shout you out. BC Warwick's $50 super sticker. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you so much. Zapparoo, the super chats don't stop tonight. Zapparoo, another fantastic presentation Friday, Yahtzee. Felony Physics Free Energy Fridays are my favorites. Thank you, Zapparoo, Zappariah. Appreciate you, Zaps. Jaleel Robinson, thank you very much for the super sticker. And then DGen Specialist. Teleportation is just scaled up lithography. Why is this so profound? Scale invariance. Scale invariance. It means the secret to doing things on the large scale is figuring out how they work on the tiny scale. We're going to find that the secrets to getting things to work on microchips is probably the same geometry, the same shapes, the same patterns that we see on the large scale. This is why I got so interested in lithography after I watched a plane being spun around by 3 plasma orbs and then teleported out of the sky. Because I'm going, wait a minute, that's weird as hell. They just spun around the plane and now it's just gone. So is this like connected to like how we would pull energy out of like small scale? Do we use like a vortex? How does that work? Turns out, yes, we do use a vortex. Anyway, chat. Oh, another super chat. Bar T Welding, Helium closed Series G funding valued at $15 billion. I should have brought this up earlier. I replied to David Kirkley and said, when are you going to talk about 0 point energy? He replied to like 5 other people and ignored me. Just saying. Now, why is this huge? That's a major valuation right there. That's the kind of valuation where I'm not even sure I want to invest anymore because nothing's certain in this world. And Donald Trump stock is only like $3 billion valuation right now. So I could invest in Tri-Alpha Energy, which is the competitor to Helium, for like 1/5 of the price. Now, if you don't understand that math, ask Google or AI. Point being, I'm probably going to put some more money into DJT. I'm going to probably wait and confirm that the Tri-Alpha Energy deal is going through. But once it does, I want I want a lot of money in Fusion. And Tri-Alpha Energy is flying under the radar right now. They're basically the only other fusion company, in addition to Helium Fusion, that already has a reactor ready to go, already has deals ready to go, and isn't doing metal donuts. Those are the parameters. Reactor ready to go, deals ready to go, not doing metal donuts. Basically, that rules out Commonwealth Fusion. I'm not touching Commonwealth Fusion. There you guys go. Okay, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Love you, MH370X. Amazing live stream. We'll be back on Monday. I'm going to set up a bunch of interviews this weekend. Set those FOIA requests in. There'll be a lot of news updates. Also, one last piece of news. I have to go back and do some work stuff. Not this week. Following week. I'll be off again most of the week. Probably back on Friday. So it is what it is, guys. Like I said, this is not my primary job. I do this after I work a 9 to 5 every day. And I've got a bunch of work stuff, personal work stuff that I can't talk about. So I'll be off for a few days, but no big deal. I'll let you know when we get closer to that. BC Warwick's Sacred Geometry. Geometrix plays a big part. Indeed, chat. Have a great night. Plasmoids out, chat. Later.
In the fields where the skies are wide, talking about a journey through the cosmic ride. Einstein and Thorne, they set the stage for a trip through time across the space age. Wormholes connect distant points in space, traversable paths to a far-off place. No black holes pull, no crushing weight, just a cosmic tunnel to a distant gate.
Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow.
Exotic matter, negative energy's the key to stabilize the wormhole for you and me. Quantum vacuum, squeeze so tight, creating conditions for this wondrous flight. Static fields and lasers in the lab they play, generating forces in a new kind of way. Gravitational squeezing, Casimir's force, negative zones we need to stay the course.
Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow.
Thin shell formalism plates so fine, spherical geometry we realign, energy conditions that we must defy. For a stable wormhole, let's give it a try. Forces balancing the plate, creating the throat, open the gates, from Earth to the stars in a single bound, a shortcut through space profound. Engineers and dreamers hold the key to future worlds and what we could be. With science in hand, we forge ahead through the cosmic paths that we now tread.
We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow.
From the fields to the stars, we break the chains. Understanding the universe, we make the gains. Lil Hula Crunk shines, bringing truth to light. Through his music, we'll explore the night. With wormholes and stargates, our path is clear. Exploring the cosmos, our future's here.